Yo, guys, welcome back. First, before we get into this, I want to say how thankful I am that we have hit 3K subs on the channel since the launch of Season 2. The channel has been popping off, and I'm truly grateful and inspired to keep bringing the best content I can. Now, let's talk about Viessa. Today, we are covering 3 builds, one for mobbing with Absolute Zero and Voltia as our main weapon, a gun that is probably the future of dungeon content in this game. Then 2 different bossing builds, one using Absolute Zero, the other using Cold Bloodedness. Each boss section will start with an Infernal Walker run. As for the mobbing build, we're going to start with that first, as it has been highly requested in the comments, so let's get into it. And going into our modules, as I said, we are running a Absolute Zero mobbing build, and the big advantage of Absolute Zero is going to be the critical hit rate for your skills that is going to give you. As you can see, we are running 3 crit mods, 2 of which are giving critical hit chance, and if we go into our stats, we can see that that is putting us at 98% critical hit rate. Now, you can choose to run the 3rd crit mod that is going to give you critical hit rate. I have chosen not to. I have opted into more HP, as she is a target for the enemies, and she seems to get melted without enough HP, in my opinion. If you would like to, go for that 3rd critical hit rate mod to get a little extra damage. It's all up to you for that. Back into our modules, as I said, I am running 2 HP mods, increased HP and HP amplification. Then I am running MP conversion and nimble fingers for our cooldown, focus on chill for a cooldown, and of course chill damage. And I have also chosen to run 2 range mods, as it makes the blizzard and the majority of her abilities just insanely huge AoE abilities. And I found without this, the AoE aspect was definitely lacking. Once again, that is a personal choice that you can pick. Another thing you can do is more duration. And for our last 3 mods, as I said, we have our critical mods. So our critical hit rate, our critical hit damage, and emergency measures, which is mostly giving us the majority of critical hit rate, which is putting us at the 98%. And now let's get into our reactor. It is a chill singular reactor, as when you are running Absolute Zero, all of her skills become singular skills. I would say cooldown for a substat is a must, and for the secondary stat, there's a lot of things you can do. Chill skill power is what I have, and I actually have a couple more examples in here. I have a cooldown with range that is very nice, a cooldown with duration. You can do a cooldown with singular. You can do a cooldown with critical hit rate. You can do a cooldown with critical hit damage. There's many options here. Just make sure you're matching up your mounting weapon correctly. As for our set, I've chosen to run the Slayer set. MP is really not a problem for her when mobbing. And our auxiliary power, we have max HP, MP recovery out of combat. For our sensor, max MP, MP recovery in combat. For our memory, MP recovery modifier in defense. And for our processor, max shield and shield recovery modifier. And now moving on to our weapon, and you are not really set into just having to use this weapon. It is a preference thing. You can use Thunder Cage, you can use this, you can use whatever you like, but to me, this weapon is the future for dungeon content going forward on this game, as they seem to really like the mechanic they added, which you need to use skill damage or firearm damage to take an enemy's shields down, and this just so happens to do both, and it does great OE damage, and it also hits very well if built right. For mine, I have rolled the substats of bonus firearm attack versus Legion of Darkness, because in the new Void Vessel, they are Legion of Darkness, firearm attack, firearm hit damage, and firearm hit rate. If you do not want firearm critical hit rate, you can also roll chill attack here, as Legion of Darkness are vulnerable the most to chill attack, which is what we have built the gun into. We are using our firearm attack mods. We are also using expand weapon charge and recycling genius, as the reload time of this gun is very long, and having the extra clip size is very nice. Like I said, we have a chill enhancement, we have fire rate up, and we're also using the super conductivity charge, which is going to make a charge to max faster. Very nice quality of life. And for our 2 ultimate mods, we are using a super cooled plasma, which is going to increase the chill attack and also strip the enemy of defense. And I have brisk walk here. Another option that you can do with these same catalyzations would be sweeping squad. Both very good options. I just like to move a little faster when I'm mobbing, especially when trying to keep up with bunnies and Freynas. And lastly, our Inversion Reinforcement. we are running Adrenaline Rush. Like I said, movement speed when mobbing is very nice. We are running Heightened Sensory Cells for heal and MP gain. If you do not want to run that, I can suggest to run Selective Neurostimulation. And as for our third, we are running Chill Focus Rounds, which is going to add more damage to our Voltia. Another option here for the Voltia is going to be Photon Stacking. And a good node here is going to be the Capstone on the bottom tree, which is one of the best nodes possible in this whole tree. And it's Quantum Domain, which is going to expand our skill effect range and skill power for each time we use a skill, up to 15 stacks. And this lasts until we die, no cooldown. Now, staying with Absolute Zero, we will get into the bossing build. Now, what are the positives of Absolute Zero? Well, the basically free 100% crit rate we are getting with just the Descendant crit rate mods we will be using. Another positive is the movement speed when using her second ability, Frost Road. This is great, specifically when trying to learn a fight like Infernal Walker, and in general, it just makes for very comfortable gameplay. The only con to me with Absolute Zero is the 18-second cooldown compared to the 6-second cooldown we will have with the Cold Bloodedness build. Overall, this is a great build for any phase of the game and an absolute blast to play. Now, let's get into the mods. Like I said, this is a Absolute Zero build for the critical hit rate, and with the 4 crit mods we will be running, as opposed to the ones we didn't run in the mobbing build, this will put us at a 100% critical hit rate. And the reason we want to run all 4 is to get the most crit hit damage, because in bossing, this is very necessary, especially for this build. For our HP mod, we're only running HP amplification, and this is even secondary. If you feel comfortable enough, you can change this to Battle of Stamina for the extra duration, which is going to give your Blizzard 1 extra tick. We have a ton of cooldown here with MP conversion, nimble fingers, focus on chill, focus on singular. I've gotten a lot of questions why focus on singular, and it is because Absolute Zero mod changes her Blizzard from tech to singular. So that is why we have a focus on singular mod here, and we will be running a chill singular reactor. And lastly, we have Dangerous Ambush and our 4 critical hit rate, critical hit mods. Now, let's go look at our reactor. Like I said, it is chill singular. For your weapon, you can pretty much use any weapon you would like. I just happen to have this with hand cannon on it, so that is what I run. And for your substats, Colossus attack, skill critical hit damage is a must if you want to get the most damage out of this build. And for our set, once again, we are running the Slayer set. We will pretty much always be running the Slayer set on her. For our auxiliary power, max HP, MP recovery out of combat. For our sensor, max MP, MP recovery in combat. For our memory, MP recovery modifier in defense. and for our processor, max shield and shield recovery modifier. Now, as for your weapon, like I said, you can run whatever you want. You will not really be shooting this weapon. I would suggest running something that has Defense Master in it, because when you kill a mob, you get 128% defense for 10 seconds. This is very nice when killing the mobs in Infernal Walker, and just in general, if you are running other content. Other than that, it really does not matter what you run. And for our Inversion Reinforcement, we are running Adrenaline Rush for movement speed when we defeat an enemy, Heightened Sensory Cells, which is going to heal us when we are getting hit, and Void Resistance for incoming damage modifier, minus 16.5%. And finally, we have arrived at the Cold Bloodness build. Compared to Absolute Zero, this build has a higher damage ceiling due to the fact that you can cast 3 Blizzards in the time you can cast 1 on Absolute Zero. But this is dependent on getting critical hits to reach that ceiling. So in terms, this is more RNG compared to Absolute Zero's damage. We have chosen the Blue Beetle over Secret Garden due to the Secret Garden's inconsistency of actually getting the buff, which would only add more RNG to this build. With the Blue Beetle procced, which only takes 1 use of any of her first 3 abilities, we have a 63% critical hit rate. And let me just show you that for those that may not understand. You either cast your 1, your 2, or your 3, and it'll proc the Blue Beetle. And now going to your critical hit rate, you have a 63.405 critical hit rate. I would suggest the way to do this would be make sure you have your Cold Bloodness up for your 3 Blizzard casts. And if you cast 1 and you are ready to cast the next, be sure to use your 1 ability to get the Blue Beetle back and then cast your next Blizzard. And now we will get into our mods, but first let's go over exactly what Cold Bloodness does. So when casting our 2 ability, instead of Ice Roads, we will now get the Cold Bloodness buff, which has a duration of 20 seconds, a skill power increase of 5%, which isn't the big thing here. The MP cost decrease of 20% is very nice, and the cooldown reduction rate of 20% is the main thing here. And let's see what that looks like for our Blizzard, which is currently at a 15.4 second cooldown. And if we go and we cast Cold Bloodness, we come back into our modules and we look at Blizzard, this is at a 6 second cooldown. So being that this is up for 20 seconds and this is a 6 second cooldown, you will be able to get 3 Blizzards out in 1 use of this. So be sure to recast this after your 3rd Blizzard. Now we can get into the mods, and we are running MP Conversion, Nimble Fingers, Focus on Chill, Focus on Tech. The reason we are running Tech is because our Blizzard is Tech. After that, we are running our critical hit rate, critical hit damage mods, and Dangerous Ambush for our damage when the boss is downed, and our 1 HP amplification mod. As I stated earlier, If you would like to run Battle of Stamina here, you will get 1 extra tick out of your Blizzard with the duration that adds. And now let's get into our reactor. This is a chill tech reactor with a scout rifle mounting, of course, because we will be running Blue Beetle. And Blue Beetle is a must here. You can still run this build without it, but it will not be as good without Blue Beetle. For our substats, Colossus attack, skill critical hit damage. If you want the most damage, you want these. For our set, once again, we are running the Slayer set, auxiliary power, max HP, MP recovery out of combat. For the sensor, max MP, MP recovery in combat. For the memory, MP recovery modifier in defense. And for our processor, max shield, shield recovery modifier. As for our Blue Beetle, we will not be shooting it, just like with the Absolute Zero build. This is a pure skill casting damage build, but there is one mod, just like the other, that you might want to put on. It is Defense Master. When defeating an enemy, defense plus 128% for 10 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. This is not bad to have. And for our Inversion Reinforcement, once again, we are running Adrenaline Rush, Heightened Sensory Cells, Void Resistance, and we are using Quantum Domain when casting a skill effect range 0.8%, and skill power 0.6% up to 15 stacks, and this has no cooldown and will last until you die. Well, that covers everything I have for Viessa. The buff to her is great, and I've had a blast playing her. Any questions or suggestions about the build, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe is appreciated. The sword has been insane. My Discord and Twitch can be found in the description. Be sure to get in there if you want to be a part of the best community on this game. Thanks, guys. Peace.